GPT-5 is already in the hands of over 10,000 Nvidia employees, and most of the world has no idea this happened. On April 24th, Nvidia quietly announced that its entire workforce of more than 10,000 staff members received early access to OpenAI's GPT-5 model. Not a beta, not a limited preview, full early access. Think about what that means for a second. Nvidia, the company that builds the physical hardware that runs almost every major AI model on the planet, now has its engineers, researchers, and product teams actively using the most powerful language model OpenAI has ever shipped before it hits the general public. That is not an accident. That is a strategic alignment at the highest level between two companies that are quietly becoming the backbone of the entire AI industry. And the timing here is critical. OpenAI has been under enormous pressure to demonstrate that GPT-5 is a genuine leap forward, not just an incremental bump over GPT-4o. Early reports from Nvidia employees suggest the model's reasoning capabilities are operating at a fundamentally different level. We're talking about complex multi-step problem solving, dramatically improved coding performance, and context handling that dwarfs anything OpenAI has shipped publicly before. Now layer on top of that the fact that Nvidia employees are hardware specialists. These are the people who understand GPU architecture, parallel computing, and AI inference pipelines at a level most software developers never reach. When they say GPT-5 is doing things they haven't seen before, that is a signal worth paying attention to. The broader public release timeline still hasn't been confirmed by OpenAI, but the fact that this deployment happened at scale inside Nvidia suggests the infrastructure is ready. The only question left is when OpenAI pulls the trigger, and based on everything happening this week, it could be sooner than anyone expects. Most people this week were watching the big flashy announcements, but buried under the noise was something that deserves way more attention. OpenAI quietly dropped ChatGPT Images 2, an upgraded image generation model, and it is not even close to what came before it. This is not just a resolution bump or a style filter update. ChatGPT Images 2 was demonstrated doing something genuinely unprecedented for a mainstream consumer AI image tool, magazine-quality layout design. We're talking about generating full editorial spreads, headlines positioned correctly, body text that flows, image placement that matches professional graphic design standards. Not a rough mock-up. Not a concept sketch. A finished product that a junior designer at a publishing house would be proud to hand to an editor. That capability fundamentally changes the conversation about what consumer AI image tools are actually for. For the past 2 years, image generation has been framed as a novelty, something you use to make weird art or generate memes. ChatGPT Images 2 is positioning itself as a professional production tool, and that is a very different market. Think about the implications for small businesses, independent creators, newsletter publishers, marketing agencies running lean. The barrier between having an idea and having a polished, deployable visual asset just collapsed further. But here is the part most people missed entirely: the timing of this release. OpenAI dropped ChatGPT Images 2 on April 21st with almost no fanfare compared to their usual product launches. No live stream countdown. No major press blitz. It appeared quietly in a post on 9 to 5 Mac before OpenAI had even pushed it across their main social channels aggressively. Why launch something this significant so quietly? One theory making the rounds in AI research communities is that OpenAI is deliberately staggering its releases right now, keeping major announcements spaced out to maintain continuous media momentum without cannibalizing each other. With GPT-5 early access happening days later and a potential public launch window approaching, flooding the news cycle with too many simultaneous drops would dilute each story's impact. Instead, they drip. They control the narrative beat by beat. And it is working. ChatGPT Images 2 barely got 24 hours of coverage before the Nvidia GPT-5 story took over. But the tool itself? It is sitting in ChatGPT right now, and most users haven't even discovered it yet. If you use ChatGPT for any kind of content creation, social media posts, blog headers, marketing materials, go open a new chat right now and try asking it to design a full magazine layout for whatever topic you work in. The output quality will genuinely shock you. This is the kind of under-the-hood upgrade that compounds over time as more people discover it and the use cases multiply. Let's talk money, power, and who is positioning themselves to own the next 5 years of AI, because this week had 3 separate stories that, when you line them up together, paint a picture that should make every investor and every developer pay close attention. Start with Jeff Bezos. His AI startup, Project Prometheus, is closing in on a $10 billion funding deal at a $38 billion valuation. $10 billion for a startup. Let that number sit for a moment. This is not Amazon Web Services deploying AI infrastructure. This is a separate, independent company that Bezos has been quietly building, and it is now being valued at $38 billion before it has shipped a single mass-market consumer product. The funding round reportedly involves sovereign wealth funds and major institutional investors, which tells you that the smart money is not betting on any single existing player winning the AI race. They are hedging across the entire board, including new entrants backed by people who have already built trillion-dollar companies once before. Now pivot to Google. This week, Google formally stepped up its long-running challenge to Nvidia with the announcement of next-generation AI chips. The new tensor processing units represent Google's most aggressive attempt yet to reduce the industry's dependency on Nvidia hardware for AI training and inference workloads. And the stakes here cannot be overstated. Nvidia's market dominance in AI compute is the single biggest pricing bottleneck across the entire industry. Every company training large models, OpenAI, Anthropic, Mistral, every startup at Google Cloud Next this week, pays Nvidia's prices or finds an alternative. Google is trying to be that alternative at scale, and their TPU roadmap is now serious enough that analysts are starting to model scenarios where hyperscale cloud workloads shift meaningfully away from Nvidia silicon. Then there is the Cursor story. The AI coding startup, founded by 4 MIT students, is seeking $2 billion in new funding. $2 billion. This is the same company that just launched Cursor 3, a product that lets users build functional software from natural language descriptions alone. The speed at which Cursor has gone from scrappy startup to $2 billion fundraising target tracks almost exactly with the rise of AI-assisted development as a mainstream workflow. And then layer on top of all of this the First Point VC launch, a brand new €50 million fund dedicated exclusively to AI-driven games and entertainment startups. Venture capital is not just chasing foundation models anymore. The investment thesis has matured. The money is now flowing into the application layer, into the companies building on top of the models, into the entertainment and gaming verticals where AI-generated content could reshape entire industries. This week's funding activity is not a cluster of unrelated events. It is a coordinated signal from the market that the AI build-out is accelerating, and the window to get positioned is closing faster than most people think. This week's tool is Cursor, the AI coding environment that lets you build real, functional software by describing what you want in plain English. Not just autocomplete, not just a GitHub Copilot-style suggestion engine. Cursor is a full development environment where the AI actively builds alongside you, understands your entire code base, and executes multi-file changes based on conversational instructions. Here is a concrete example of what that looks like in practice. Say you are a solo founder and you want to build a customer dashboard for your SaaS product. Normally, that means weeks of development work, front-end, back-end, database connections, authentication, responsive design. With Cursor 3, you describe the dashboard in plain language, what data it should display, how users should interact with it, what the visual structure should look like. Cursor builds it, not a template, not a wireframe. Actual working code across multiple files with logic that connects. You review, you refine through conversation, and you ship. The free tier gives you meaningful access to test this workflow before committing to a paid plan, and the paid tiers are priced for individual developers and small teams, not enterprise budgets. If you write any code at all, even occasionally, or if you have ever had a software idea but lack the technical depth to execute it alone, Cursor is the single most important tool you can add to your workflow right now. The gap between having an idea and having a product has never been smaller, and Cursor is a huge reason why. Go to cursor.com, download the app, and try building something you have been sitting on for months. You will be shocked how far you get in a single session. And if you thought Cursor was wild, You need to see what OpenAI just dropped with ChatGPT Images 2 this week. The full breakdown is on your screen right now.